I'm so excited about this news today that I almost want to say hua unironically. Almost. Hua. So we get to look at SIG Sauer's new NGSW 6.8mm promotional video. And I'm going to warn you and caution you right up ahead, right now, that this is a very corporate communications video. They're trying to sell you an idea here. But we're going to look through here and see if we can find some valuable information about how they feel about the NGSW and where they see themselves in comparison to the other competition, because they're going to throw some shade at the other competitors here.
I think the Army's next-gen program is the most audacious effort in decades. It is the ability to participate in writing history. And whatever happens now will dictate the next 20, 30, 40 years. It will change how we look at life afterwards. I'm so impressed with the Army personnel.
The NGSW bid is really popular because it's potentially going to be a huge part of history. Soldiers throughout time have always identified with their main rifle because the capabilities of their gun are the same capabilities that they're going to have on the battlefield. The better its performance is, the better their performance is going to be. So that's why it's such a personal and historic story that SIG wants to be a part of. I don't know if you caught this, but in the beginning they show us the M17 on one of their flags, which is a pistol made by SIG Sauer that replaced the US military's main 9mm Beretta pistol. So they're implying here that since they were able to replace the main pistol, they're up for the task of also replacing the main rifle. This is one of the best close-up shots that I've seen of the rifle. Something to note here that's interesting, that's different than the M4, is it doesn't use the same buffer tube, which means that you're able to actually collapse the stock of the rifle, which is something that you couldn't do with a bullpup. Something else to note here is that it looks like they're firing from a 20-round magazine. The recoil looks a little bit dampened by their firing with the suppressor, and the suppressor is also made by SIG. They're all proprietary equipment here. Is it just me, or does that trigger squeeze also look really light? Oh, you know what it is? I think he's firing the automatic selector switch. I come from a day and age where we didn't have the option to shoot automatic. We were only given burst, and we were lucky that we had that.
They're pushing us hard, and that's one side of the equation. The other side, they get it. They're letting us have access to the soldier, to the Marine. It's a transparent program. We are learning from each other, which brings tremendous value as we go forward. This was a wholesale change of ammunition, a rifle, and a belt-fed gun. We are the only company that makes ammunition and the weapon. So we were able to harness the engineers on the weapon side with the engineers on the ammunition side. We could sit together in one room. We could go to a testing facility and have a ballistic engineer and a rifle engineer sitting together and tweaking the formula in order to make sure it works.
This is interesting. What they're talking about here is how the NGSW bid is working very closely. SIG Sauer, all of the companies, General Dynamics, Textron, they're all working very closely with the actual Army and Marine infantry ground units that might be using these weapons someday. And that's one of the big differences between this bid and bids in the past to replace the M4. In the past, it was all kind of done behind closed doors. Nobody really had a good idea. What are the milestones that we need to hit? What kind of performance do we need to reach here? With this new bid, it's more transparent, as they say, where we can look at some of these documents and we can see exactly what the Army's goal is here. These weapons have changed dramatically in just the past few years as they tweak them to get to the level that it needs to be at in order to replace the M4.
So we can quickly solve problems that nobody can in a short time span. I would say that what we tried to do is to stay true to the fact that ultimately somebody has to carry these guns, somebody has to make it, and it has to bring a significant change to warfare. It has to be lighter.
We also have to, of course, talk about the short stroke piston system, which is a little bit heavier than the M4's direct impingement styles. Going with the short stroke piston means that it's going to be more reliable. Hopefully we won't see all those insane misfeeds that we have with the M4 on the range every day.
You have to get the range, you have to get the terminal ballistic, the terminal performance. SIG thought of all of these issues from the eyes of a soldier, and we're happy that the Army has the same exact view.
Most interesting parts of the NGSW program, which is the ammunition choice. And SIG Sauer, what they've done is they've gone with a brass steel hybrid. And my understanding is the reason they did this was so that they could take advantage of the steel plate on the back of the ammo so that it can have that higher velocity to achieve those higher energy levels on target, 20 to 25% greater energy on target, so that it can defeat levels of body armor easier, or it can at least make a casualty or take somebody out of the fight.
You know, one of the questions that everybody's asking, can SIG handle it? Are we ready? Can we handle the timeline? Can we handle the enormity of the effort? So I would say we are the picture of readiness. We are the singular small arms company in this competition. We make small arms every day. None of the others do on a regular basis.
So SIG throwing a little bit of shade at their competition here, saying that they're the only ones that are going to be able to do this.
SIG has the engineering resources, the manufacturing resources, the asset base, the commitment to do this. Programs of this nature do not happen twice in a lifetime. They happen once, and for most people, it doesn't even happen then.
So right now, this competition is very much in flux. It's fluid. They're still making changes to the rifle. They're still making different tweaks to how this is going to perform when they bring it to the final level of testing with the Army.
To compete at this level, if we win this, this changes how we define ourselves as a company, as individuals in the company.
So right there, we got to see SIG Sauer doing a torture test on their weapon, absolutely abusing that poor machine gun. It almost hurts my heart to see it get frozen and beat up like that and covered in sand, but it's all for a good cause. Push it to the limit. Soldiers can just beat the absolute out of this thing before it stops working. There's an old wives' tale out there about how John Browning once brought a machine gun, I think it was the BAR, in front of Congress, and he had somebody assemble and disassemble it blindfolded. And then that's how every machine gun school around the world in the military started adopting this. It's that kind of pageantry and that kind of theatrics that often can be the determining factor here. The stakes here are huge, and a lot of people, they like to say that the next war is going to be won by unmanned UAVs, or it's going to be won by the Air Force. Like after World War II, everyone thought all warfare would only come down to just airplanes. And time again, generals learn that tanks aren't going to win the war. What wins the war is the boots on the ground, the soldier, the regular grunt. That's who's going to win the war. Or probably really the Special Forces soldier. But these rifles are going to be used by the SF also.
And I could assure you that the whole company would pull every stop to make this a success for the soldiers. Ultimately, that's the biggest reward, to see that the soldiers are happy that we've transformed the battlefield.
I can't stress enough how this is historic, because it could determine the outcome of future wars. The infantry and their weapon have determined the outcome of wars for generations. So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this unscripted format, let me know and I can make more videos like this. And if you really enjoyed it, go over to our new channel, Task and Purpose First Squad. It's top secret until now. My goal over there is to do more videos like this where it can be a little bit more intimate, more real, and I don't have to feel like I'm performing as much. Go on over there, click the link, it's up there. We can talk more about military news and conflicts around the world. I think you guys will like it.